Good morning, everybody. Week 7, Triple Play Fantasy is here. We are ready. You got the bye week blues. We are your guys, and we're ready to discuss all of this here in about 30 seconds. That is heavy hitting every damn time. I love it every single gosh dang time. We lost Joe all of a sudden. Joe sometimes gets kidnapped before the game, and we don't like to show that on the screen, but we're willing to for the right price. On my left, we got my man Jeff. Happy Sunday, Jeff. How are we doing today, man?
Doing well, brother. As usual, best morning of the week. Even seeing Joe walk away after the intro. But what are you going to do, kid? We're ready to rock this morning.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. And down below, my man Joe is back. How are we doing today, man? What's good?
Treated like kings. I got the 12-year-old delivering me a nice iced coffee to get the Blitz started. Jeffrey, you missed it last night. We were all things DFS. Think there's going to be. I feel like we are starting to get the same themes here of crappy cheap running backs. Which one's gonna hit, which one's not. But I'll tell you what, going 8 weeks in now, week 8 in my leagues, I can make no bad decisions this week. I'm playing with a lot of 3-4 and 4-3 teams, and it's a big week to stay on the appropriate side of that winning percentage and that 500. So I feel like I've just been dealt with so many hard lineup decisions all season long, and this is the first really crucial week where we are going to get you guys on the flip side of 500 and back in that playoff race.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know this is going to be a really weird week for a lot of people there. Like, we're going to be playing with the bye weeks and with injuries and with everything. You're going to be playing players like, I don't know. I mean, Raheem Mostert is an awesome start, like at any given time. But then when you look at across the board and you've got like the matchups and things like that these people are up against, you're going to be out there with Dante Foreman. Like Dante Foreman, he didn't really do you any favors last week, but, he's got a better matchup this week. And just things like that. I mean, it's what a crazy time of year it is. And speaking of injuries, Joe, why don't you go ahead and hit us off with some injury report right here?
Yes, sir. And right off the bat, I got to give you a plug, Mikey, because I think you said it last night, like even like the Royce Freeman play today, potentially. I think people are kind of turning a blind eye to him because of some of the other guys there, but I feel like you're onto something on that one also, but we'll get into it more. So injuries not as bad this week as last week. That being said, though, we do have some QB injuries that are impactful. Unfortunately, no Justin Fields this week. Guy had a couple of bangers fantasy-wise going into last week, but couldn't survive that Minnesota game. So as we talked last night, our new good friend is taking the field, Tyson Bagent, for the Chicago Bears, and I'm sure he's going to put up about negative 47 fantasy points as they're playing a very, very tough who are they playing today? They are playing a very, very tough Las Vegas defense, which they are not, but they did a good job against the Patriot offense, so they will probably do the same against the Bears. Kyler Murray was getting some news this week because he's obviously still out, but it looks like he will be reevaluated towards the November 12th matchup for Arizona. Deshaun Watson looks to be he remains listed as questionable. He is. As of 6/23, it looks like he is on track to start. That's a big one for Cleveland. Obviously need him back. Daniel Jones, however, is a long shot to play. Pretty clearly, Daniel Jones is not playing today. They just haven't stamped the out yet. Jimmy Garoppolo also out. So we got the Brian Hoyer era back there in Las Vegas. That should be interesting.
The Hera Badgen rematch that we've all been dreaming of, or the Hoyer, sorry.
That is second to Brady Manning. I mean, let's be honest. Good Lord.
Right, yes, exactly. Almost in the same category anyway.
And then, did you guys real quick, but the Devontae Adams comments this week were funny. Basically, he said, I'm not out here for wins and losses. I'm out here to be great. which I don't really. Usually, that's about as opposite of what you hear a star player is supposed to say. But it'll be interesting to see, if you get 7 targets on the first drive, or if they go the opposite end based on that.
I think knowing Raiders fans the way I know Raiders fans, sorry to cut you off there, but that's their general attitude. Once you've been a Raider or a Raiders fan for a couple of years, you're like, hey, you can't care about wins or losses, because if you do, it's sad. And so instead of just being sad all the time, you just care about being great. So you go do your thing, Devontae. I get it. It's a fair point. If wins and losses were important to Raider Nation, the suicide rate out there would be a lot higher. Not a lot of wins. But, running back wise, this is the sad one for me. We said it last night. No David Montgomery for Detroit. They were really had everything flying at full potential there. So luckily they get the rookie running back Gibbs back today, but no Montgomery for the time being. Kyron Williams busted an ankle last week for the Rams. No big deal. We all thought he was going to miss a week or two, but then yesterday they actually placed him on IR, so he is now out for the next 4 weeks. That's a big loss for them. It looks like it's going to be a hodgepodge of replacements, including Zach Evans, Royce Freeman. And did you know who the third stringer is right now, Mikey, on that depth chart? I don't.
The man, the myth, Mikey's best friend, Mr. Myles Gaskin.
Oh, Myles Gaskin. Hashtag never Gaskin rides again.
So that's about it on the running back front. And I will say, wide receiver injuries relatively quiet this week. Not even going to, I will say this, the big one, DK Metcalf looks to be a true game time decision for Seattle today. So that certainly is a little bit of a big one. Obviously, if there's no Metcalf, that's a nice matchup they have home against Arizona. So you probably want to take advantage of Tyler Lockett at that point. But that is it for injuries, my friend. I think it's time to blitz.
Yeah, definitely. I was talking about Tyler Lockett last night in the DFS Chalk Talk there. And definitely excited about his usage, his percentages going up today with DK Metcalf, even coming in with a questionable tag. Now, again, he had the same situation going on last week, and he went out there and he did pretty good, 4 for 69. So we'll see what he can do this week, but I feel like it's going to be another Tyler Lockett week. Pretty excited about that. So we can definitely get this started right here, guys. We're going to go ahead and kick off the questions with my guy, Adabellin 410. He says PPR. Craig Reynolds, Latavius Murray, or Royce Freeman today. Joe, we'll let you lead this off. Joe's muted.
Right off the bat, we're going to be so, man, the Craig Reynolds thing is really funny because that guy's got potential, but the way they use him is such a head scratcher. Latavius Murray's probably got the best shot to get in the end zone because, Mikey, as a Bills fan, what the hell are they doing with Cook? The guy's been great, but they don't give him the ball in the red zone.
Because it defends Josh Allen to outrun him. So you have to only get about 3 or 4 carries per game. I really don't know. I mean, the guy has been proving himself, but at the same time, who else has looked really good out there? Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray, at his age, doing what he's doing, man. I feel like he's getting those touches well-deserved as well. So I think maybe you just kind of have that tandem bust and lose for that reason. So with that happening, I don't think you can rely on either one of them in most situations. Now, James Cook is doing enough to get it done in a PPR leagues, but outside of that, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, I'm taking your direction here, and I'm going to take the shot on Royce Freeman. I'm going to take the shot on him getting some touches and, making himself stick out in a backfield that's an absolute disaster. So I'm going to ride the Dirty Jobs 21 wave on this one.
I love it. Jeff, what do you think right here?
I mean, they're all running back by committee. I don't know too much about Royce Freeman. Well, obviously, he's kind of a surprise there, given all the injuries and the other guys. Latavius Murray and Joe made the point. He seems to be the guy. If anybody's going to get in the end zone, of course, he's not necessarily. I don't think any of these guys are really going to get maybe over 75 yards rushing. But I think Murray, if they got him down by the 5-yard line or so, you might be the one to punch it in. So I'd say Murray.
I don't mind that Murray call. Reynolds I feel like Reynolds is going to be one of those guys that just because everybody's still so excited about Jahmyr Gibbs, that Reynolds is going to go out there and get 20 touches, pound out 50 yards with the deal and maybe a touchdown. So he may be the guy there, but I've got to throw it out in the universe. I need Jahmyr Gibbs to do good because I've got him in too many leagues where he isn't doing good for me where I thought he would be, and being able to take that. So I'm going to go with you, Jeff. I'm going to say Latavius Murray here as well. Our man Trans-Siberian says, evening, boys. He says, good call on Ford last week, Jeff. He won 2 despite my jinxing Thomas. Yeah, never Logan Thomas again, man. I can't believe it. Like, there was 3 times where I was watching tape on that during the week where I swear to God, I mean, they made almost eye contact with each other, and Howell would turn on, and then he'd huck it into some kind of danger zone, and it would go for an incompletion. And I'm like, why is he ignoring Logan Thomas the way he is? But yeah, I mean, you can't start him. Drop 1 wide receiver. We got Dubs, Myers, Rice, Smith, and Jigba. No more Atwell, making Joe happy. Drop 4 Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. So we're dropping a receiver. What are you dropping right here, Jeff? Since you helped this guy out so much, and we love you.
So and assuming Rice is, and I'm forgetting his first name on Kansas City. That's what we're talking about, correct? There we go. Yes. So because Kansas City is going to have to throw here and there. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is going to get his yardage. You got to have somebody outside Travis Kelce. I actually kind of like Rice, and had I been on last night's show, he would have been one of my bargain picks. Jacoby Myers has actually gotten in the end zone a halfway decent amount of times, so I don't think you can drop him. And Dobbs, even though Jordan Love isn't the best in the world, I would say he's kind of more towards the top. Smith and Jigba, who I had high hopes for at the start of the year, I'm unfortunately out of all these, I would drop him.
Oh, that's tough. Joe, what do you think right here?
I'm thinking a lot, man. It is a fluid situation with this is we're going to make our money today. We're going to earn our money today doing this blitz because I feel like we're going to have an hour and a half of these types of situations where I just have to talk and say nothing while I try to make the decision in my head because none of these are easy ones. So let's see here real quick. Drop 1, man. No more first of all, and the other thing too, Trans-Siberian, shout out. This guy's on the ball. This guy, I don't know if he works for the IRS or something, or the Ukrainian IRS, but this guy is on the ball. He's got the memory. He knows what we're doing, when we're doing it, and I appreciate those checks and balances. That being said, from a keeper, freezer, long-term dynasty perspective, I wouldn't want to let him go. But if we're just talking, what's going to help us right now? I'm going to ditch Smith Njigba from Seattle. He's not there yet, in my opinion, where obviously Rice is becoming the best wide receiver in that mess of wide receivers in Kansas City. We've already talked about Myers. Dobbs has been very nice for Green Bay. So I am going with the rookie there in Seattle.
Yeah, so I hate to drop any one of these guys, honestly, and this will probably help you out because I don't know that I would drop Smith and Jigba. And so, that's obviously probably going to be the right call the way this year's been going for you and I, Mr. Siberian. So let's see. I can't drop Dubs. I have a feeling that he's going to be a focal point of that offense. Myers has proven himself to be a focal point of that offense, especially when Garoppolo was around. We'll have to see what happens there. Rice has been an up-and-comer on a team that is desperate for wide receivers, so I can't walk away from that. But I do like Smith and Jigba today, right? So I do think that, if DK Metcalf does in fact sit, I love Smith and Jigba today. But that's it. Once DK Metcalf comes back, it's really not even a step back for me. It's not a no-brainer. He's the easy one to drop in this situation. Yeah,
teamwork makes the dream work, Mikey.
So I love Smith today, but if we're talking about full term, long term, I think I'm good with dropping Smith and Jigba because I don't think he maintains very much value as a lot of these other guys do.
I messed that up, Mikey, and that's why we got the best team in the business. They pick us up when we screw it up. With the Metcalf game time decision, absolutely, Smith and Jigba could be a relevant play today. That's my bad. Good call, Mikey.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So definitely, like I said, with DK being out, I love him today, but I think if we're talking long-term, that's the guy to drop right there For sure. Even though, like I said, it sucks because I think he's going to be a guy that you see get picked up. Maybe if you can try to package him in on a trade or something like that, try to improve it, another position like a running back, throw in another kind of mid-tier running back to go for like I don't know, at least a starter, for instance. Let's go right here. We got Dees Hager. He says Waller or Mayer today. And it's funny how many Mayer questions we have. So speaking of Mayer, we're just going to start this one off with there. Jeff, go ahead, buddy.
I mean, to me, I was going to talk about this one, had I been on the show last night, because I actually really like Darren Waller today. I think regardless of who plays quarterback for the Giants, whether Jones actually suits up or it's Tyrod Taylor, I do like Waller to get probably 6 for 70 and in the end zone once, so I'll go Waller.
This is reading these last couple of weeks, and I'm looking more now too. I'm starting to really like what the Raiders are going to try to do with Mayer. Obviously, they need a freaking quarterback, the same quarterback to play every week. That would be a little bit helpful to gain a little continuity. But man, I hate Darren Waller. I hate the New York Giants, and this is a diehard New York Giant fan. I got no idea. I mean, in all actuality, you probably got to start Waller today because he's Darren Waller and he's their best weapon, and they're playing freaking Washington. And if it's not today, it's never. I'm going to start Waller, but I'm really getting excited for Mayer.
I like that answer, and I'm actually going to go ahead of you, Jeff, here because I want you to break this tie. Because for me, I feel like when I've got a new quarterback on the field, there's one thing I like. There's two things I really like about a situation. I like the tight end and I like the running back because those are usually your outlet passes. Usually the guys that you're just going to be dumping it to over and over and over again when you can't make a decision downfield, which is typical for a rookie to do. So I do like Mayer, what they've been doing with him. It seems like they've been getting him involved in a lot of the game plan. So for me today, it's going to be Mayer. What do you think, Jeff?
I'm sorry. Did you say Brian Hoyer starting today? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay. Waller.
See, fair enough. Yep, take that as you want to. And then we also have our man Trans-Siberian. He goes, "Oh no, Mikey likes him." So that means, like I said, I mean that's for the way it's been going for me and you this year, bud. You definitely want to. That's the guy you want to drop because if I like him today, that means he's probably not going to do nothing. But look out because I also like Tyler Lockett a lot today too. So, but. Love you, man. It's definitely always a good time. Always a good time. We got our man. This is one of my buddies right here. Ryan Kennedy _22 he says, which do you start today in full PPR formats? Logan Thomas or Michael Mayer? Joe, what do you think right here?
Look at this tight end love this morning for all of us here and all this Logan Thomas love. Logan Thomas does this same. This may be a copy and paste from a conversation 3, 4, 5, 2, 1 years ago about Logan Thomas come week 8. It's been 6 shitty weeks, a couple of good weeks to get you just excited enough, and then he goes back down. I mean, it's like a flip of a coin with Logan Thomas here. They are playing the Giants. My gosh. So I'm thinking in my head, I just picked Waller over Mayer. This is the same game, the other team. You go Thomas or Mayer. You know what? I think I'm going to go Logan Thomas here because the Giants can't cover anything. And, I like Logan Thomas here. I just think that I'm going to play the matchup. But again, Michael Mayer, this guy is he's exciting me. And it's hard to get excited over, a rookie tight end, but this guy's starting to show those flashes.
Absolutely agree with that. What do you think there, Jeff?
So I'm sorry. Have things changed in the last 3 minutes at quarterback for the Raiders? Oh no, they haven't. Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas.
Well played.
So that makes my answer easy. I'm going Michael Mayer here because I have certain choice words for Mr. Logan Thomas, and they involve never again. Guess who he gets to join on my ranks of the hashtag nevers? Never Gaskins, never Logans. Dude, we're done, Logan. Unless we're playing you on defense, we're out. Like, I just can't do it anymore. So good luck at Ryan Kennedy. Once again, man, I appreciate the follow and the follow back. Me and this guy have been buddies for a long time. He's a pretty popular guy there on the old Twitter.
I got to say real quick, Mikey, I love these Brian Hoyer answers because I've literally got, once again, as last night, I don't know why, full-on diarrhea of the mouth. I can't shut up last night or this morning. I'm talking in circles because these decisions are like a freaking Rubik's Cube. And I love that our good friend Jeffrey Allen Mesha can come in and just say, Brian Hoyer next.
Yeah, no, but when you look at the defensive situation, I think even Brian Hoyer can come up to the challenge there. At 3 Kings, Mom 12 says she's dying at running back. Has Najee and both Broncos to pick from today due to injuries and buys. Full PPR. Which two would you roll with? Henderson is also available on waivers. Jeff, what do you got here?
So pick 2 between both Broncos and Najee Harris. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yes, sir. Or Henderson on waivers.
I can't. Yeah, I mean, God, Najee Harris has been such a disappointment too. And if you listen to our show before the season started, Joe was arguing for him. I was arguing against him. I didn't listen to my own advice. And Travis Etienne has been going off too. So in any case, but you can't start. I don't think you can start both Broncos. I would say Javonte Williams, and you talked about him a little bit earlier there, Mike. I think he's going to actually have a halfway decent day. And then I would go with Najee Henderson. Najee's kind of been the proven guy there. So even though I can appreciate picking up on waivers, Najee and Javonte Williams.
Yeah, I think with all the question marks that there are sitting around what's going on in that Rams backfield, I do think Henderson could easily be the guy that they go to. I think that you could just as easily say the same thing about Royce Freeman, who's gotten the more spots in the first team practice and things like that. I mean, if I'm picking between those guys, I'm out, So, I mean, it's going to be Najee. I don't like it. I don't like the way he's been getting used, but maybe coming off of this bye week and having Deontay Johnson back, that might open up things for the running game because they're going to have to focus a lot more on a guy because he's an elite route runner. I mean, Deontay Johnson is just one of the best in the league at that. So give me, for my money, give me Najee and give me Javonte Williams. He's one of my go low guys. What do you think there, Joe?
I'm thinking that my DraftKings app is completely distorted and I can't see a freaking thing as I'm trying to look at some of these players. But that being said, so it looks like I'm squinting. I don't want people to think I'm flailing out here. Najee Harris to me is just, man, he's frustrating. This is tough.
It was close for me not to start both Broncos. I like McLaughlin a little bit today too. I mean, the guy's earned himself some keep, but I just feel like the volume goes to Najee.
Yeah, and McLaughlin's exciting to actually watch. Like, he feels like he could bust one at any time just from the little bit I saw the last couple of weeks. I think you're right, though. As much as, like, it's the exciting thing to do, you got to roll out Najee here. And, this is week 7 and week 8. We are in the mud. And this is a great example of that. Logan Thomas versus Michael Mayer, Najee Harris versus 2 Bronco running backs. We are in the mud, in the quicksand, and a situation like this, we're looking for our 10 to 12 to just get us out and hope that our big guys do what we need them to do.
Yeah, like Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully, you just at least start this week.
I don't mean to interrupt.
That's a good point.
I don't mean to interrupt, but Joe's analogy or comment there about McLaughlin is exactly his philosophy back in like 2003 to 2006. He could bust one at any time, Joe. So, I mean, there you go. I digress.
I got my goon behind me.
Well, hopefully those hits just keep coming. We got at AOK_fan. He says Jameson Williams or Wan'Dale Robinson. Joe, what do you think here?
I'll tell you this one. This is an interesting one. Man, Jameson Williams, last week he got in the end zone, which was great, but I don't know why, your running back misses 6 weeks. Okay, they're going to ease him back. He's on a snap count the next week, whatever. I'm not sure why they're easing Jameson Williams back and not just
due to a suspension.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. So I'm not sure, last week they did it, the week. I love that he got in the end zone, and he should be playing 75% of the snaps for Detroit in a good, close game. I want to say Williams, but right now, Wan'Dale Robinson's getting the most targets there. I mean, he has become the binky there for the Giants since he's come back. Now, I don't know if the quarterback changes could change that. But right now, assuming it's Tyrod Taylor, the way he used Wan'Dale last week, if you're in a PPR, I expect Wan'Dale to go 5+ receptions. And he's got the ability for the yak. Williams, if it's a touchdown heavy league scoring wise, I think I go Williams. But if you're in a PPR here, I think I go Wandale.
I like that answer. What do you think here, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of anybody on the Giants receiving wise, even though I'd made a case for Waller earlier. But I was just looking. Wandale Robinson has 20 targets in the last 3 games. He's obviously seemingly the go-to guy, or starting to get to the go-to guy, whereas Jameson Williams, you got some other targets there that can get some good yardage. And I don't necessarily like the matchup for Detroit in Baltimore today. So I'll go Wandale Robinson.
I agree too. I like Wandale Robinson. I like the volume play here. Just because it does look like Tyrod Taylor is going to be the quarterback going out this afternoon. So for me, give me Wandale because he got used by Tyrod last weekend. He produced for him. He was catching everything thrown his way, starting to earn that trust. You start getting chemistry like that, sign me up. Jameson Williams, definitely, if you're wanting to look for a ceiling play, I think he can be a guy that can get you 60 and a touchdown. The problem is I think that 60 and the touchdown is going to come on the same play if it does come down. So be careful with that one because
real quick, Mikey, give me some education here because Williams, he was a first round pick or no?
Yes, he was first round.
So what? Obviously, you got Ramen Noodle. Nobody's moving him from the depth chart. But why isn't Williams just slotting right into that? Like, why isn't he just relevant right now?
I think what the 6-week suspension caused for him, or actually what ended up being a 4-week suspension after it all was said and done, was maybe he just I don't know if maybe it was what he did on the side or what he did as game preparation. But when he came back, I mean, there was immediate red flags thrown up by the Lions saying, we're not even sure if this guy's going to be ready to take a snap on Sunday when, and this is on Monday, when the first time that he's showing up, it's like, I don't know if maybe he just didn't have access to the playbook and maybe they changed up the scheme enough over the season to where, but you'd figure he was able to take part in the offseason program long enough that he should have been like somewhere near the same page. But it just, that's really what it seems like has been hanging this whole thing up, is the fact that he's not being able to figure out that offense and what they're doing and how they're wanting to utilize him, because this guy should be climbing up. I mean, this guy should be one of the trade for assets out there. I mean, because yes, Amon-Ra gets his every single game, but Jared Goff throws it enough, and he loves throwing to that number 2 a lot. And when you don't have a solid number 2, now not to take anything away from Reynolds, he's been amazing this year, but I just feel like Jameson Williams is one of those next level talents that playing on the opposite side of Amon-Ra should be deadly. I mean, it should be one of the most lethal combos. And then Laporta paying off the way he's been paying off. This team should be high octane Super Bowl champion caliber team. Getting to the next question here. We got at Beantown 101. He says, at which one? PPR, DJ Moore, Jordan Addison, Terry McLaurin. Worried about Baggett getting the ball to DJ. Yeah, I think everybody is here. What do you think here, Jeff?
Well, as Mike taught us from week 1, you simply cannot trust Sam Howell, so McLaurin's out. I would say this is between DJ Moore and Jordan Addison, who the Vikings are playing Monday night. Oh, they're playing San Francisco? Okay. Even with our friend somebody Baggett, whoever his name is, Joe Iarachi, I'm still going DJ Moore because he's the number 1 guy there, and Addison hasn't really done much since week 2.
I like that. What do you think here, Joe?
Yeah, I'm thinking I don't understand what's going on with Jordan Addison necessarily since the Jefferson injury. I'm just going to go with the most talented guy here, to Jeff's point, and go DJ Moore. It's a mess from a quarterback perspective, but I do like the pulse that Moore's had there the last few weeks. So I will stick with that, and I will still just be confused on why Jordan Addison's not getting double-digit targets every single game now.
I think when you look at the matchup they had last week, that was a little bit tougher than what they were expecting. And not having Justin Jefferson is a big thing to adjust from. That said, I really do like Jordan Addison this week. I like his opportunity and situation a lot more than I like the other 2 guys. In fact, for me, my order is Jordan Addison, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, just because of the quarterback situation happening in Chicago right now, man. I mean, give me Justin Fields and DJ Moore. Give me that connection all day. Now, don't get me wrong. DJ Moore is a good enough wide receiver that it doesn't really take much of a quarterback to get it to him. But let's go back to the days of Carolina Panthers where we were saying that too. And then let's talk about the production that we were getting on that level. And it just wasn't really there like we were seeing right here with Justin Fields right now. So for me, I'm going Jordan Addison here, but I do like the DJ Moore call because you do want to go with your more talented guy when you have a question mark. And so DJ Moore is perfectly acceptable. But like I said, for me, it's going to be Addison. Right here, we got at Gmo the Icon. He said, here's the doozy. I think that the doozy there is that I was able to pronounce that, Jeff. I don't know about like as long as you've been with me right now. That I got that out right the first time. He said, here's a doozy. Zach Evans, Juwan Jennings, Cole Kmet, or Mooney. Start one in the PPR flex. Thanks. So start us off, buddy. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I'd like to hear what Joe Sealing has to say about things here, which is a nice view.
It is a nice view. It actually kind of looks like a movie star setup type thing.
There you go. So, good Lord, this is bad news written all over it. Again, you got – what's his name? Bilbo Baggins playing quarterback for Chicago. But regardless, I think Cole Kmet is still kind of seemingly the guy there. So if I'm doing one, I say Cole Kmet.
I don't mind that a bit. The one thing I do think that, like with Deebo Samuels out, Juwan Jennings is really, really tempting because when Deebo Samuels doesn't play, this guy does have a tendency of finding the end zone for this team. I think, you're going to have Ayuk step up to that one role, and he does very well in that number one role. But I think there's enough, again, especially if we see Christian McCaffrey sit out, which is scary. But I think Juwan Jennings might be an actual real solid play right here. What do you think, Joe Sealing? No, I'm just kidding. We'll go ahead and let you take that with what you will. And we'll circle back to that when Joe gets back out here and see what he thinks on that one. We'll just skip on to the next. @FF_Perkins says, I need to start two in PPR, Evans, Watson, or Rice. Jeff, what do you think here?
I mean, first of all, Mike Evans is a clear-cut number one there. So he has to be in my opinion, especially out of those three. Now, between Watson and Rice, I'm going Rice just because Mahomes has got to get the ball to somebody besides Kelsey, and Rice seems to be a little bit up and coming. Not that Christian Watson isn't a great receiver, because he is. I just think opportunity-wise, Rice is going to have a decent amount of targets, and we all know what Evans can do. So I'm sitting Christian Watson.
It's funny because I've got Jordan Love in quite a few of my dynasty format. In a lot of my daily fantasy lineups, because I feel like against Denver, we might actually see him be able to do anything. Now, when I do have that situation going for me, I do like the wide receiver one, but in this case, I feel like that might actually be Dubs. And so I've got a lot. I mean, Christian Watson seems to get touchdown looks, but he doesn't seem to be getting a lot of volume in between the 20s. I think that's been going more towards even the running back position. And even you've seen Jordan Love kind of running it a little bit more than a lot of people thought. Rashee Rice, on the other hand, I think he's going the other way around than what we see with Watson, and we're seeing that taker go up, right? So I feel like Rashee Rice might be the guy to play here, and there's just no way in hell I'm going to be sitting Mike Evans. He was one of the guys I don't really consider $7,600 paying up for in FanDuel, but in this case or in this instance, because I wanted to let you have the Cooper Kupp because we, of course, read your lineup last night as well. So giving you Cooper Kupp, I was able to take Mike Evans for my payout guy. Again, like I said, at $7,600, I'm not too sure exactly if that's really considered a pay up, but I still feel like, like I said, Mike Evans, the volume's there, the opportunity's there. What do you think, Joe?
Yes, Mikey Evans. Sorry, just got some kids picked up. I'll drop one more time in a minute, but getting these little squirts away here so I can sit there on my couch and act like an old man for the rest of the day. But yeah, Mike Evans, it's funny, actually, real quick. I love this question because due to bye weeks, I am in a situation where I've got the scenario of starting both Godwin and Evans today. And obviously, Evans has been pretty solid all year long. Godwin's been in and out. He's looking a little hotter. May I ask, how do you feel about God? Obviously, I go Evans here. 2 years ago, everybody was starting both Godwin and Evans if you were to have them both on your rosters. That a stupid move at this point, or you think that there might be enough cake for both those guys to eat?
I think in that instance, I think that's actually not a bad move, especially with bye weeks being what they are. I wouldn't mind playing Evans and Godwin. Do you have a second guy here? Because it's starting 2.5 PPR. So you got Evans
I'm so sorry. Man. This is a tough one for me. History says you probably go Watson here. I don't know. I'm not sure. Love's had regressed a little bit. Man, Watson, I guess, is the safer play. I guess I'll go Watson, but it's really close, and I like the way Rice is coming on.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think Jeff said the same thing, so you're going to want to go with Watson there. But, man, I'm feeling Rice this week. I think that's so. What do you think on this one? Zach Evans, Juwan Jennings, Cole Kmet, or Mooney, Joe?
Start one PPR flex and thing. Man, I'll tell you what, if Fields was healthy, this is crazy. I'd probably consider Kmet if Fields is healthy, just the way they've been connecting the last few weeks, based on the fact that obviously he's not PPR. My gosh, Zach Evans. But Mikey, you're in my head so much now on this Freeman Zach Evans thing. I don't know. Zach Evans. I'm going to go Zach Evans. This is tough. What'd you guys do?
I went Juwan Jennings with Deebo Samuel out today.
Yes, that's a good call.
And I said Kmet, even though Ron Burgundy is playing quarterback for the Bears. So,
all right, I'm dropping again. I'll be right back.
Excellent. We'll go to this next one here. We got at Matt the Meatloaf. He says, "How bad are the winds set to blow through the Lions-Ravens game? He's got to choose between Goff and Geno this week. What do you think here, Jeff?" First off, it does look like it's supposed to be pretty windy, but I don't think it's going to be like shut the ball down windy.
I mean, both of those are great options. You know, Geno hasn't been as good as we thought he could be, and Goff has stayed fairly consistent from last year to this year. However, having said that, Detroit's on the road in Baltimore. That's a tough environment to play with against a tough defense, and Geno's at home versus Arizona, not exactly a barn burner defense. So I would say by a slim margin, I roll with Geno.
I like Geno this week. Like I said, that was my starter in DFS. So, I mean, like, to me, he was a no-brainer. Although, like, putting him up against Goff, I think Goff is going to have himself a hell of a day. Like I said, I'm looking at the weather right now. It looks like it's going to be 15 to 20 miles an hour. That's not a whole lot to be like. I'm from Wyoming, man. We don't even call that a breeze. So I mean, it's not even enough to really affect the trajectory of the ball, at least not for an NFL caliber quarterback. We'll definitely see what Joe thinks on the backside of that, but I definitely two to whatever he says, at least for Geno. At Ray_Dodgers, he says McLaurin or pray CMC doesn't play and start Mason. And I kind of wanted to go off a little bit on a thing about here, about how this is how you fantasy football, right? When you have CMC and he's been kind of hindered by injury and things like that, having Jordan Mason as your as an option, especially when we're talking about things like game time decisions, man, that's the way to set up, man. Handcuffing your solid running backs like CMC. This is how you fantasy football, because when you get to game time, you don't have to worry about going out and getting a no-name running back that might have a potential to play on, say, Sunday night, Monday night. You can actually just go right to your own team, grab the guy who's backing you. I mean, this is it right here. But that said, I think I'm going to go with the CMC, and I'm going to be happily starting Mason over McLaurin. What do you think here, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, to me, Ty goes to the running back, and again, and just kind of looking at, I mean, Joe gave a little bit of an update there, but I mean, McCaffrey missed practice on both Thursday and Friday. It's looking like he probably won't be the guy there, so that might open a big opportunity for Mason. Not again, I bagged on McLaurin with Howell there at quarterback, but he's still a talented guy. But even still, go with the running back, and I think Mason is a decent shot here.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if you're not going to be playing CMC, and starting Mason isn't going to be a bad option on a team that runs the ball as often as the 49ers do. So you're set up for greatness. And I mean, if CMC does play, you're perfect. I mean, that's great. That's what we want. We want CMC to play. At Lumberjack Lynn 1 says Josh Downs or Wandale Robinson. What do you think right here, Jeff?
We were high on, or at least we had him on DFS for Josh Downs on a cheaper play, but we made the case for Wandale Robinson, and I think that sticks on this one where he's got the 20 targets the last 3 weeks and seems to be the guy. Whether it's going to be Jones or Tyrod Taylor throwing to him, Wandale seems to have stepped up as kind of the guy, him and Waller over there. So I would say Robinson.
I don't mind Robinson here too. I do like how Josh Downs has been getting involved on that offense as well. I do think that Minshew is probably due to have himself a Minshew maniac style game out there. But for me, I'm still going to go with Wandale Robinson just because for me, it's completely just a sheer volume play. I mean, like if we watched last week, he got 10 targets and I think he caught 7 of them. And that's that's too much to ignore on a team that's going to have to throw the ball again a lot because they find themselves, not that defense is bad per se, because that defense has actually shut down some pretty good teams thus far. And they just don't have an offense to be able to keep up with it. So Wandale Robinson, definitely the guy that I'm going for right there. We got Dan Full Tank 25. He says, do I start Royce Freeman, Antonio Gibson, or Tyler Algier? Full PPR. What do you think, Jeff?
Geez, that's an interesting one. We've seen flashes from Algier here and there, and he was the guy punching it in from 2 yards out. For whatever reason, they were handing it to him as opposed to Bijan. Antonio Gibson is so up and down. I can't take that guy. He's right in the category with A.J. Dillon, and you know how I feel about A.J. Dillon. Now, Royce Freeman, kind of running back by committee. I don't mind that play. So to me, it's I would have to say Freeman by a smidge over Algier, and yes, I used the word smidge from like 1968. We'll go Freeman.
Oh, a smidge. We just got to cinch it a smidge. So for me, I do like Royce Freeman to be the lead back in that backfield going into today. Again, like with question marks and with Darrell Henderson's experience on that team and things of that nature, I'd rather rely on somebody that still does give me a headache, but it's not so much as a headache. Now, Tyler Algier, I like what he did week 1, week 2. It looked like he saw a little bit less. And it sucks that they have Bijan Robinson because that guy was toting 5.5, 6.5 yards per carry on average just last year. And this year he's been kind of cloning that, doing really well when he gets the ball. But Bijan Robinson is so good that they don't really give him the ball enough. So by default, I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson. Again, man, this isn't a decision that I want to make right here because he's been letting me down just as much as he's been bringing me out of trouble. But he has been at least getting me enough volume in teams where I'm still behind him. I'm still happy getting that in there. Joe, what do you think on this one? Freeman, Gibson, or Algier?
Full PPR. Well, who are you just talking about, Mikey, as far as the volume goes?
Antonio Gibson. Yeah. Especially in the PPR.
Yes, exactly what I was thinking. They've been, they had the McKissick a couple of years ago where Gibson was the big time runner and McKissick was doing the third down or whatnot. And now Antonio's got that role and it feels like he's maturing into it a little more each week. So I'm going to also go with Antonio here.
Excellent. And then we're going to go ahead and let you catch up on a couple of these here. But what do you think?
I'm back now for good.
Yeah, no, we're good with that. Family happens, man. How bad are the winds set to blow through the Lions-Ravens game? He's got to choose between Goff and Geno. And who do you got here, Joe?
Can't sit Goff, right? I just think he's too good and efficient right now. I understand if there's some weather stuff. I don't know. Home against Arizona. But Metcalf's a game time. That game script scares me for Geno Smith. Because if Kenneth Walker gets the first rushing touchdown and then Arizona can't score and there's no Metcalf, Geno might not be called upon to do that much this week. So I'm definitely going to go Goff here.
I like that. Yeah, me and him both chose Geno, but you have a hell of an argument there for Goff.
I went that way specifically because of the matchup that you brought up, Joe. So I just think matchup-wise it works out a little bit better for Geno. Not that I dislike Goff.
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
Same. What do you think here on McLaurin or Trey CMC doesn't play and is he going to start Jordan Mason?
Well, when it comes to like the timing and everything, you've got to put yourself in the position to get a legit guy who's going to get targets and shares and snaps and everything. So I think you got to throw McLaurin in there. That being said, if McCaffrey's out, there's a little bit of gray between the share between Mason and Mitchell, but I am all for riding any San Francisco running back that's going to get touches. It's a great matchup. They run the ball anyway. The offensive line's phenomenal. So I'm all for, especially from like a DFS perspective, getting Mason or Mitchell in your lineup if McCaffrey's out.
Absolutely. Yep. So but you'd still play McLaurin over Mason.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, see, Jeff and I are both on the opposite side of that one as well. So like I said, it's glad to have you in there so you could get that other.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. No, I think I'm misunderstanding that. I'm playing McLaurin because you don't know what the deal is with the San Francisco running backs right now.
But either way, you're pretty well covered. Right, because you have Jordan Mason.
Because if you have, so let me clarify that. I'm with you guys. I'm starting, if you have the backups, I'm starting the San Francisco backup. If you don't have the backup, I'm not waiting to roll the dice on McCaffrey. I'm playing McLaurin. I apologize for that.
Yep, there you go. Okay, yeah, that's made the most sense
to
us as well. Okay, what about this one? Downs or Robinson?
Downs has been interesting because he's even getting in the end zone the last couple of weeks too, where Wan'Dale's not getting in the end zone. I'm going to go PPR Wan'Dale, no PPR Downs.
Gotcha. Okay. That's actually a fair one. Like a fair answer for that. We both said Wan'Dale Robinson because of the volume. We got at Fantasy Mac, half PPR, Jeff Wilson, Henderson, Freeman, Warren, or Gabe Davis. Man, it's funny to see Gabe Davis finding his way into this list somehow.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you think right here?
I don't think I'm going to mess around with Henderson or Freeman or Warren here. I do like Jeff Wilson as a backup, but you got to go. I'm going Gabe Davis. He hasn't been phenomenal, but he's found the end zone a few times. I'm going Gabe Davis.
What do you think here, Jeff?
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, first of all, Warren's out immediately, in my opinion. But Joe's right on the Henderson Freeman front. I do kind of like Freeman. I don't like Jeff Wilson, so it's really between Freeman and Gabe Davis. And I would say Gabe Davis, we've seen some flashes of him, going for 90 and a touchdown and kind of being the guy there in Buffalo. So I'd go Davis.
Man, I can't reiterate it enough or say it enough that I really am worried about what I saw at the end of that Buffalo game last week with the way Josh Allen was kind of nursing that shoulder. It's got me a little bit worried. It's got the running backs for that game a little bit of a higher uptick as far as things go. That said, in this list, yes, if I can avoid that Henderson Freeman headache, I'm good on that. Jaylen Warren's been doing enough, I feel like, to be pretty serviceable. And I feel like he almost gets my nod right here just because until I see what Josh Allen comes out and can do, I feel like I'm a little bit lower on Gabe Davis. And I think Jeff Wilson also, man, that guy's a vulture for touchdowns. Mostert's been getting it done, but we've seen what the second running back can do with that team. So it really, honestly, it comes down to Wilson and Warren for me. And I feel like Warren wins just by an edge. And that's really almost I hate Najee Harris and how he's being used message more than it is I'm a pro Jaylen Warren guy here. But I think he's going to get the volume. I think he's going to get the passes. I think coming off this bye, I think we see a different Steelers team. And I think with that different Steelers team, you're going to see a little bit more Jaylen Warren than you may be even seeing more of a snap count and a little bit of an edge start going his way over Najee Harris if he's not able to start doing more with the football. Let's see here, guys. That actually catches us up on questions right there. We got the comments all caught up as well. So I guess that is, what else do you guys have for this week? What else do we have to add? Did we have anything that we missed? Anything update while we were sitting here? What do you got for us, Joe?
So I'll ask you a question. How are we feeling at this point about Rachaad White in Tampa? He had some momentum going into the season, had a couple of decent, okay games, and then a couple of not great games. How are we feeling about him in general?
I feel like, matchup. Last week, that matchup, Detroit has been really shutting down a lot of facets of football, especially the run game. They've been really, really pretty stellar against. I think Aiden Hutchinson's starting to really show his impact and his value on that defensive line. So I feel like at Atlanta or versus Atlanta, I'm sorry, I feel like White might be a good play. I feel like down the road, down the season, I feel like he's got a really, really good schedule too with Houston, Tennessee, San Francisco. Okay, not so fun, but then you got Indianapolis, Carolina, Atlanta, again, Green Bay. I feel like Rachaad White, I feel like he's actually a guy that you're probably going to want to target a little bit before trade deadline. We'll probably start talking a little bit more about that because we'll see his involvement kind of get an uptake. Again, when you got Baker Mayfield and he's tucking the ball 50 times a game, you're going to have targets going to places like Rachaad White. I like him.
Very true, very true. And I will give an update. There's so did this really just come out? Yeah, 11 minutes ago. Christian McCaffrey is trending towards playing tomorrow night. Which to me is a little bit of a surprise. I didn't think that, but Adam Schefter, as of 11 minutes ago, all signs point to McCaffrey being available.
It was said that they was hanging out with Aaron Rodgers last night, so maybe that was maybe he gave him a good dope mix up to where he's ready. I'm just kidding. I made that last part up. Jeff, what do you think on that one?
We're talking Rachaad White.
Rachaad White.
I mean, I think last week the guy's been. I mean, is he my favorite running back? No. He's been fairly consistent, at least outside of last week, of getting right around 15 carries. Is he going to burn it up for you? But you could probably expect maybe 15 carries for 60 yards and perhaps one time in the end zone. Not my favorite guy, but at least he's fairly consistent, sort of.
Fairly consistent, sort of. That's a slightly oxymoronic, but I mean, at the same time, I get what you're saying. I mean, because if I sit back and I put him up against, say that list of Jeff Wilson, Darrell Henderson, Royce Freeman, Jaylen Warren, not Gabe Davis, but on that list right there, I mean, he is so far above all those guys. It's not even funny. And when you look at the running back landscape and what it is right now, not counting bye weeks even, you've got just a few guys out there. And like on that last one where we had CMC or Jordan, well, now we're playing CMC because he's going to be out there. But I mean, there's very few of those guys that are coming back saying, we lost Nick Chubb, we lost Dalvin Cook on the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, he's playing for a different team that he's not getting utilized. That team's not being able to utilize a running back because they don't have they have Alexander Madison, who's a great 2-punch, but is a tiny and effective 1-punch. I mean, so we lost a lot of these great situations and things that were good about the running back position, and so. To me, Rachaad White, I mean, he's going to be a top 12 because of his situation, and more so because the landscape is so crappy in the rest of the NFL right now.
It's a good call in general with things going on in the running back position and some of the shifts and whatnot. You're absolutely right. Running back's been tricky. Quarterback's been real. I mean, quarterbacks are their scoring is down. There's no other way to put it. Quarterback fantasy scoring is way down. We're not getting monsters. I feel like last year you'd have 3-4 quarterbacks every week who'd go 30 plus fantasy wise. You're just not seeing that so far this year either.
Yeah, you're very rarely even seeing the 30, even at a one quarterback in the week. Yeah, no, it's been really. We were talking about that last night. Is about how the NFL's been just really abysmal as far as scoring goes, and it's been a really down fantasy. Maybe this will be one of those weird years where once it starts getting really cold outside, we start seeing those running backs start to pop off. But again, who's going to be the guy that's going to come out there and do it? Looks like Deshaun Watson are both active in today's game. And that was about the only notification we got on that one right there. So, but that's a good one. Deshaun Watson coming back. Fire up your Amari Coopers. Fire up your Elijah Moores. Those guys are going to be a little bit – and we got our guys. He says, always a pleasure, boys. Enjoy your football Sunday. Yeah, Jeff, you're our fluent Russian guy. Will you go ahead and read the last part to us?
I think he said stay consistent, sort of. I think that's what that says.
He says that Ukraine is strong.
Yes, I love it. Stay consistent, sort of, is what we're going to go ahead and sign off with this one on. You guys have yourselves a heck of a Sunday. For me, Jeff and Joe, thank you guys all very much. We'll be here again next week, same bat time, same bat channel. We'll be back on Saturday night for DFS. If you haven't caught that show, make sure you hop on there right along with us, guys. We've been winning that money, so hop on. Let's have some